What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Justin Morgan, back with another video training collage for y'all to check out. You can see I posted that initial, what do you call it? Just like basically an outline of what the training session is going to be. I did that in this video before each training session. If you guys like that, maybe mention something in the comment section below. I think it helps give an idea of what I'm going to be doing, and it gives you guys an idea. I this week I only recorded one or two sets from each lift, and I thought that kind of helped cut the time down. Last week I posted a collage of that week's training, and ended up being like 13 or 14 minutes or something. It kind of excessively long, but even with this, only recording one or two sets ended up being 10 minutes long. So if I'm going to post my training from each week, it just ends up kind of being long in that way. So I guess that's just the way it is. But you can see there's 5 days of training. Then there's some mixture of like strength and muscle building work, like squats, overhead presses, push presses, rows, and pulls. Now, pulls are something that the first few years of my lifting, I only did like conventional deadlifts, or what you would generally think of as conventional training in the deadlift. So pulls are something that has really become interesting to me, that I kind of like. It's a little easier to recover from than the deadlift. You can do them obviously a lot more frequently because the weights are lighter and there's less total stress. But I think it has a very similar effect in muscle building because of the intensity of driving against the bar. So if you, I'm not sure where I'm at in the video, because when I go to record these, the video actually stops. I only get to see a few seconds of footage. But when you see me doing those pulls like that, either snatch grip or clean grip, I'm basing that basically off my front squat, and I'm pulling the bar as high as possible, I guess, or really I'm just trying to replicate what I would do in the snatch or the clean, except that I'm not actually doing a full snatch. So this is a way to do just the pull portion of the lift to help build up the lower back, the glutes, and the hamstrings, kind of similar to how you would do from deadlifting. So this replaces a lot of my deadlifting. This particular program that I'm in right now features doing pulls of this kind on Monday and Wednesday, and then in addition to that, I'm also doing snatch and or clean and jerk on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So I'm doing quite a few pull variations, or pulls of different kinds, whether it be the competition lifts, so the snatch and the clean and jerk, or just like the pull portion with heavier weights. And I mentioned that I was doing them based off my front squat. So what I do for that is that the program will call for, say, 90% of your snatch. Well, I'm not a proficient at the snatch yet. I'm still relatively new to weightlifting, so my snatch isn't commensurate with where my strength and, like, say, squatting or something is. So it doesn't really make any sense to do strength lifts based off of a lift that I'm not very good at. So basically I use the Russian percentage manuals, which I'm not sure they still use those anymore, but when like Medvedev and a lot of this information came out in like the 70s and 80s on training, and they were using Soviet studies to do it, they estimated that if you're basing your max front squat, then you should be able to do clean and jerk about 85% of that. So instead of using my actual clean and jerk max for strength work, I use my 85% of my front squat. And then, so that sets my clean and jerk about where it should be if I were proficient in that lift. And then likewise with the snatch, they estimated that you should be able to snatch about 80% of your clean and jerk. So, this is getting into a lot of math, and I don't mean to make it sound complicated, because it's really, really not, but this is just how I get my numbers, since I'm not very good at these lifts. And if you're wanting to do similar things or integrate some of these ideas in your training, even if you're not a weightlifter, then this is a way that you could kind of do that. So basically, I'll take my front squat, which was 385 pounds, or my max front squat, or that would be 175 kilos, and I'll take 85% of that to get my clean and jerk. So that's like, I think, about 315 pounds, and I can't remember exactly what that is in kilos. Like 150 kilos would be 330 pounds, so that's probably like 140 kilos or somewhere around there. But and then I'll take 80% of that number to get my max snatch, which is around 260 pounds, I think, or something like that. So that's just kind of a way to get the numbers. This also featured one of the hardest training sessions that I've done ever. As you get to the end here, you see I do, for my squatting, I'm kind of following a Russian squat routine, where you do 6 sets at each lifting, each session. I'm doing a mixture of front and back squats. So for the front squats, those aren't a focus right now, so I'm kind of going back and forth. But when I do the front squat session, it's considered a recovery session. I'm only doing 3 sets, so I do 3 sets of 3 at 80% of my front squat, and that's really just for recovery. The actual Russian squat routine calls for, I think, 6 sets of 2 for your recovery days, but to me, that's a lot of sets, and my goal is to get finished with those sessions more quickly, to help promote recovery. So, I'm already changing the program anyways, so we don't have to call it the Russian squat routine, but that's basically the idea. So this is the week where I end up doing 6 sets of 5 reps at 80% in my back squat, which you'll see I get to here in a little bit. And if you're watching the lift, it looks like it moves really well. Like the bar speed doesn't really slow down a lot. It seems like it's not as difficult as it felt, because I can tell you what it felt like was that I had been set on fire and beat with a shovel to put out the fire. So, like, I was hurting by the time this session was finished, and I wasn't sure if the final session of the volume phase will be in this coming week. I'll do that on Thursday, and that will be 6 sets of 6 at 80%. And much like these, it's not really the weight that kills you. It's just the volume of doing set after set after set. And I got to the push press, and it wasn't even a strength issue. I tried to do the first set, and I only got 3 reps and just dropped it because I was just so fatigued and tired. But I mustered up the, willpower, I guess, or mental fortitude to come in and try to do the last set, or try to, make it through the sets on push press. And I ended up doing a mixture. So I did 1 push press, I did a clean, and then 1 push press. I did 3 push presses behind the neck, and then I did a push jerk. So that really wasn't what the program called for, but I was doing what I needed to do to kind of get the work in for that day. So this coming week, the final day of the volume block will be doing the 6 sets of 6 on both the back squat and the push press in the same day. So when I do that, I only do like some pull-ups or something as my final exercise, just to kind of get some rest in. When I do the lighter days is when I end up doing Pendlay rows, and that's a little bit more volume, a little bit more work for the upper back. It doesn't really take any longer. So that's another one where I base it off a percentage of my clean, but I do the same thing. I figure out what my clean should be if I were proficient in the clean, and then I do 50% of that for like 3 or 4 sets of 10 reps. So you probably saw me a little bit ago doing some of those. And that's about it. Saturdays are always a hard day, especially when the more difficult workouts show up, because I do more exercises because I have more time scheduled that day. And then I'm doing a snatch, a clean and jerk, or variations of those. I think this particular day I did muscle snatches, so it's like a snatch variation, and then I do the squatting and the push presses. So it's always a kind of difficult day when that comes up in the training block. And then, of course, as I go through this, I'm making slight modifications week by week. So ideally, by the time I'm finished with this, it'll kind of be somewhat fixed, and then I can go back and replicate the same thing again. But the next time I do it, I'll probably go through once with a focus on the back squat and then once with a focus on the front squat. Since my squat has gotten heavier, I don't progress quite as quickly anymore, so adding 5% to my total squat and push press every time I go through it is not as easy as it once was when I was squatting and pressing a lot lighter weights. So by going back and forth, it helps me to be able to continue progressing. So that's it. You guys take it easy, and I will see you in that next video.